Right. Good morning to everyone. Yes, please wait 1 minute. I'll start today's session. Yes, good morning to everyone. So let's start today's session. So today I'm going to discuss introduction to .NET. So what is .NET and why .NET? What things you are going to learn in .NET? I'm going to discuss. So first of all, .NET is the product of Microsoft. .NET is the product of Microsoft. Everybody knows that. So it's .NET completely designed and developed by Microsoft team. So it is the product of Microsoft, we can say. Then what is .NET? What is .NET? Before that, .NET was announced by Bill Gates in the year of 2000, and the first version of .NET was released in the year of 2002. From 2002, there are so many versions are there, like .NET Framework versions as well as Visual Studio versions. What is .NET Framework and what is Visual Studio? I'll tell you in this session. But before that, you can see what is .NET means. .NET is not a programming language. .NET is it's not a, what we can say, testing tool kind of thing. .NET is not a database kind of thing. Then what is .NET here? .NET is a framework tool. Yes, it's completely framework tool. Microsoft people are giving .NET framework tool to the developers, and using this .NET framework tool as a programmer, we can develop the application clearly here. So .NET is not a programming language. .NET is a framework tool, we can say that. Yes, we are going to learn some of the programming language here, but .NET is completely framework. So when we install .NET software, Microsoft people will give lot of libraries in the form of .NET framework. So once we install .NET framework software, so then only it is possible to develop the application. So without .NET framework, there is no .NET. You can't develop any type of application using .NET. So what is .NET means you should say, and your answer is .NET is a framework tool which supports around 60 plus programming language. Yes, which supports around 60 plus programming languages. In this 60 plus programming languages, any programming language you can choose as a programmer. But what is our programming language in our sessions? I'll tell you clearly. So in the 60 plus programming languages, 9 programming languages are designed by exclusively Microsoft, and remaining programming languages are designed by non-Microsoft, means third-party companies developed these programming languages. I'm just going to list out these 9 programming languages, and in that 9 programming language, which is our programming language in our session, what programming language we are going to discuss, we'll discuss. First programming language is C#.NET. Next one is VB.NET. Next C++.NET. Next J#.NET. J#.NET. Next F#.NET. F#.NET. Next JScript.NET. JScript.NET. Next Windows PowerShell. Windows PowerShell. Iron Ruby. Next one is Iron Ruby. Next Iron Python. These are all 9 programming languages which are supported to .NET. And remaining non-Microsoft programming languages are there that we need not to list out. Lot of languages are there. But in this 9 programming languages also, most oftenly used programming languages in real time is C# as well as VB.NET. Visual Basic. And C#.NET is most powerful programming language. Most of the cases, like 95% of the people in real time, which we use C#.NET programming language. So in our sessions, our language is programming language is C#.NET I'm going to cover. Okay. So .NET you are going to learn. So you're going to learn .NET. .NET is what? Framework tool. In that framework tool, we are going to learn a programming language, at least one. Because if you want to become a programmer in .NET, at least you should have idea about one programming language. That language is called, which is most powerful language, C#.NET I'm going to teach here. And you may get doubts. So what is, to become a good programmer in .NET, what things need to be important to learn here? So .NET is not a one thing, it's a combination of things. So any person wants to become as a software programmer based on .NET platform, I strongly recommend to learn three things importantly. Okay, so first thing is C#.NET. Next thing is ASP.NET, and next SQL Server, SQL Server, and last that is ADV.NET. It's a part of this only, so no problem. ADV.NET. These four I strongly recommend to learn. So what is C#.NET here? C#.NET is a programming language which is used to write coding part for application development. Yes, it is completely coding part for application development only. It is a completely programming language. So you are going to become a developer, no? So a developer must and should have the knowledge of at least one programming language. So that we are going to learn in .NET, C#.NET. And ASP.NET stands for here. ASP.NET stands for Active Server Page. ASP.NET stands for Active Server Page. And strictly remember, it is not a programming language. You should not say it is programming language. So it is a technology, that is a web technology, or else we can call it as server-side technology also. Yes, web technology or server-side technology, we can say that. Generally, what we can do using web technology or server-side technology. Web technology means like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all those, Same like ASP.NET is also web technology. Web technology is designed for websites. Yes, what we are going to design, websites or web pages, we are going to design using this web technology. But though we design ASP.NET websites, only designing purpose, we use this ASP.NET. But behind the scenes, the logic part is important. So not only website means not only for only design. Behind the scenes, some logic part is required to fulfill our requirements or validation or something. So that logic part again should be written using C#.NET or any programming language is required. So I can say that C# is literally for logic code and ASP.NET is for designing purpose. For example, you can say, let's draw something to clear understanding. So this is called one web page which I'm designing. Suppose this is user interface which I'm preparing using ASP.NET web controls through. I'm going to design this one. Let's assume that this is user interface like username and password, and this I'm designing with some button control like this. If I do this design using ASP.NET, but behind the scenes, I should write some logic part in this login button. So this is ASP.NET design purpose we are using. And in this button, login button control, I'm going to write some logic that is called C#.NET logic. So this is logic code purpose. I'm writing C#.NET. But you can see this C# is logic purpose, ASP.NET is for designing. With this both combination, we can call it as front-end application. Yes, this is called front-end application. Front-end application. Okay, front-end application here. But front-end application is the application where user can interact, like just websites. You have to interact with that website. That is called front-end application. Back-end application means where user information will store, where user information is going and stored. That is called backend application. But generally, in the context of front end, C# also we can consider as a backend, because backend logic we can consider. but ASP is a front end, which is going to visible to the programmers. But this combination, we can call it as front end. And back end means generally we can say database. Database is nothing but what? Why database is required? Because uh, uh, to store the data securely in some place. Whenever customer wants to retrieve their information, that need to be stored before that. After storing, you can able to retrieve at any point of time. So for storing purpose, we use database. That database purpose, you should learn SQL Server. So this is database design purpose. We use SQL Server, and SQL Server is, we can call it as backend application. But strictly remember in real time, so front end applications and back end applications must be interact with each other for transaction performance, like storing the data and retrieving the data. Both interaction is compulsory required. So that interaction is done by ADO.NET. Here, ADO.NET is act as a mediator. So this is also important. In our session, we will cover ADO.NET also, no problem at all. This is ADO.NET. So it is going to act as a mediator from front-end application to back-end application. So request and response will happen through ADO.NET only. So that's the reason in our session, I'll cover ADO.NET syllabus also completely with interacting with interaction of front-end and back-end. So this is the thing actually which I'm talking. ASP.NET for designing, C#.NET is for logic, SQL servers is for database creation. So all the awareness is required compulsory. So SQL server is for database design or database creation, we can say that this is SQL server. And ADO.NET stands for here ActiveX data object, we can call it as ActiveX data object. This ADO.NET is used to communicate from front end to back end application. Without ADO.NET, we can't write any database connectivity programs. So this is completely which I'm going to cover in our sessions, .NET sessions completely. This is the basic package of .NET, which I'm going to cover. First, we will start with C#.NET after completion of introduction to .NET. And then after, see, the thing is, here I want to explain you clearly. For sure that to become a good programmer into .NET, everybody should aware of that at least one programming language C#, and after that ASP.NET, one design. In this ASP.NET, we will cover completely website designing, website implementation with logic 3-tier architecture. We will discuss with database connectivity. SQL Server is a backend application. ADO.NET is a communication between front end to backend application. Here one thing I need to tell you clearly. So those who know already some familiar with Java, I'm saying that according to them. So in Java, most of the people Java programmers will use Java programming language to write their logic. In .NET, we use C#.NET. In Java, people will use JSP.NET, JSP and servlets for designing these web pages. Here I'm using ASP.NET. And in Java, most of the people will use as a backend application like database creation purpose. Oracle software they'll use, but here I'm using SQL Server. Why I'm using SQL Server means it's a product of Microsoft. In Java, we'll see Jdbc concept was there, like Java database connectivity. But here in .NET, we use ADO.NET ActiveX data object. It's almost all similar to Java, but it's not Java. So comparatively, Java, you can able to understand very easily, like .NET is very much pretty simple and easy to learn and easy to survive in IT industry also. No big deal actually here in .NET, because maximum ready-made resources will come from Microsoft only. So as a programmer, you should know how to utilize those services while writing little bit code only. Okay, your contribution is somewhat less here compared to Java. But when we go for Java, contribution of the programmer is very much important. Lot of contribution. Everything they need to be developed from scratch. But here in .NET, as a programmer, you need not to develop everything from scratch. Already development services are available, libraries. So using those libraries, we can easily manage your code and all. So this is I'm going to cover in our total .NET session, C#, ASP, SQL, ADO.NET. Okay. Now, how the sessions are going to be happen, I want to tell you clearly. So this session duration is to cover C Sharp completely, ASP.NET completely, and SQL Server completely, ADO.NET completely. To cover these all those things for me, it will take 2 months of time. Okay. So actually more than 2 months are required, but I'm going to cover this within 2 months only. How it is possible, I'll tell you. So the initially plan is every Monday to Thursday, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, C#.NET sessions will be continued. And same time, your regular time only what you are attending now, 11 to 12, C#.NET Monday to Thursday. And every Friday and Saturday, I'll start with SQL. Yes, every weekend, SQL Server only will happen. So that's what we are doing here. Parallelly, we are finishing C# and SQL Server. Okay. So why we are not covering parallelly ASP.NET and C# means I strongly recommend to move with ASP.NET. Person must and should aware of that C#.NET. Without knowing the knowledge of C#, then they can't move that. So that's what I'm not going to start parallel here. SQL Server, any point of time you can able to learn it, no problem at all. Okay, it's not a big deal. So every week, Monday to Saturday sessions will happen. Only Sunday is the holiday. Every 1 hour session is there every day, so that record is going to be happen. So every same day recorded video I'll send to your all people Google Drive. Happily can able to watch it again. So C#.NET 4 days weekly, Monday to Thursday, and every Friday, Saturday SQL Server is going to happen. And that's what parallelly it is going to finish. Once we finish this C# and SQL Server, then later separately I'll start with ASP.NET. Okay, that's the reason I can able to cover these all things in within 2 months only. And ADO.NET, it will come in the middle of C# and ASP, no problem. It is not separate thing. It's a part of C# and ASP.NET. So it is just for communicating from ASP.NET web pages to SQL Server database. Okay, C#.NET to SQL Server database. Communication purpose, we use this tool ADO.NET. It's a part of this syllabus only here. So this is the time duration and our class, the way how it is going to be happen while going to start the sessions clearly here. Okay, so it takes 2 months compulsory. Below 2 months, I can't finish it clearly, no problem at all. And now every session clear materials also I'm going to send to you. You need not to get any confusion here. So complete material will be there, C# and ASP and SQL Server and ADO.NET and all. And every day the session is going to live recording. So whatever I'm going to cover in the session, same recorded video I'll send to your Google Drive. You can able to watch it again and again. So material can be downloadable. So you can see this. Just I want to show you that material, how it is, how I prepared previously for the batches. So just I want to show you, this is the .NET material. So you can see C#.NET session wise material is there. If you want session wise, I can send to you session wise, or else if you want completely part one material, C#.NET part one material, I'll send this part one material. You can see I prepared already. So for previous batches, no problem. Every clear step by step I prepared. Every program also I included in this document completely. It is a part one of C#.NET, and part two also there, that is called Windows Forms. So you can see this. This is the material of part two. So each and every form I prepare and I designed and I given steps also. Once you see this material, you will never confuse at all. Undoubtedly, you can able to get proper idea here. Whatever I'm going to teach, how the way I'm teaching, so same way it's there in the material. You need not to worry about that. Okay. So this is the material of C#.NET completely. Even we have ASP.NET material also, same way. You can see ASP.NET session wise material. If you want, you can go for session wise, or else complete material you want, I'll send to you complete material, no problem at all. Okay. And even SQL Server material also will be there. SQL Server, this is completely. So everything is ready. So, but only the thing is your live session recorded videos only I will send to you, not old records. You don't worry about that. Okay. So from my side, I'm going to cover all the things with a clear picture, no hurry worry. So you don't expect from me within 20 days, 30 days I should finish .NET, means it's highly impossible. It's not possible for me. Okay, so compulsory the students who will come to these classes, they should have most patience. Within 2 months compulsory need to stay back here. So without uh, 2 months or so, it is not possible to complete because it's a huge thing actually. C Sharp, it's a big programming language, ASP.NET, SQL Server, ADV.NET. These all in detail I need to cover here. Okay, so that's what I'm expecting. 2 months compulsory duration is required. So every day 1 hour sessions will be happen from Monday to Saturday, and every Sunday is the holiday. This is session details and time duration and everything what I'm going to cover. So .NET means you should learn all those things clearly here. Now coming to the thing, .NET is framework tool. I'm saying that .NET is a framework tool. So what is .NET Framework here? Yes, as I told you that without .NET Framework software, so there is no .NET actually. So what is .NET Framework means? .NET Framework is a collection of class libraries. Yes, what is .NET Framework means? .NET Framework is a collection of class libraries. Collection of class libraries, we can call it as. Yes, it's a collection of class libraries. What is the meaning of collection of class libraries? Collection of class libraries means it's a group of libraries. Once we install .NET Framework software in your computer, you will get a lot of libraries. These libraries, which is prepared by Microsoft people, and they are giving to the developers to utilize that libraries into their development of applications. So maximum contribution is coming from Microsoft people. Using these libraries, we can able to develop the application. Okay. So .NET Framework is a collection of class libraries, and .NET Framework is a free software. Yes, .NET Framework is a free software, sir. It's completely free software. Anybody can visit Microsoft.com website officially. They can able to download this framework. .NET Framework is a free software. .NET Framework is a free software here. And next, without .NET Framework, there is no .NET. Yes, without .NET Framework, there is no .NET. You can't say there is a .NET here. There is no .NET because .NET Framework is compulsory required for any .NET developer. That's a free software. You can able to download it from Microsoft and install it now. But look at here. Whenever we install .NET Framework software here, so by default, some libraries installed, I'm saying that. But if you want to know that physical location of libraries, so where that libraries are going to store in our computer, after installation of .NET Framework software, I want to know that my libraries where it is available. To know that this is the physical location of .NET Framework libraries. Physical location. This is the physical location. I'm saying this. So what is the physical location means? You can see. Uh, root to drive, you have to mention that root to drive. After that, OS folder, that means operating system folder, we can say. And there is a folder name is called assembly folder will be there. This is the root to drive OS folder, assembly folder. Root to drive means generally when we install .NET Framework software, it will be installed in the C drive. And after that, operating system folder means that is Windows folder. Then after that, there is the assembly folder is there. Now you can see assembly folder is there, assembly folder. Let's look into quickly in my computer C drive, Windows folder, assembly folder. Then already I installed .NET Framework software. So let's check out that whether libraries are available or not. We will see now. Okay. So let's see this clearly. So let's flip to C drive immediately. Double click on my computer and C drive and Windows folder. It's a my operating system folder. And there is an assembly folder. You can see you will able to notice that assembly folder here. But when you not install .NET Framework software, you won't be able to see this assembly folder compulsory because only after installation of .NET Framework successfully, then only we can able to see this assembly folder. Once I see this assembly folder, there is a GAC MSL is there, Global Assembly Gas Microsoft Intermediate Language. So these are all libraries what we have. You can see this. Once I install .NET Framework software, these libraries will be gets installed into your computer. So using these libraries only, we can able to develop a lot of applications. Okay, this is the uh, library location actually here. So .NET Framework is very important here. Okay, .NET Framework. And even after installation of .NET Framework software, then I want to write some programs like I want to start development of my application code. Then where I need to write my code? Yes. So to write .NET code, so we need some platform. That platform is that is called Visual Studio. We can say that it's a editor tool. What is Visual Studio means? It is just editor tool. It is just an editor tool. We can say that editor tool or software. We can say that. So how the Java people will use NetBeans, Eclipse, MyEclipse, editor tools like Edit Plus, how C++ or C programmers will use code block software, Turbo C editor tools. So similarly in .NET we have to use editor tool called Visual Studio. So Visual Studio is an excellent editor tool for .NET application development, and this is also called as IDE. That means Integrated Development Learning Environment, we can call it as. This is the Visual Studio software actually here. The Visual Studio also it's a free software, but student and faculty purpose Microsoft is providing free software with Microsoft account. Those who are having Microsoft account, so they are going to provide some free software here. Only community version they are giving free of cost, but the enterprise version and professional version they are not going to giving free of cost. Okay, I'll tell you how to get this Visual Studio editor software and how to install it and all those things. I'll tell you in coming sessions, no problem at all. So .NET Framework is required for libraries getting, and after that Visual Studio software is required. It's a platform or tool where we can write .NET code, execute and all. So Visual Studio software is required. So I strongly recommend to install Visual Studio software. So which version of Visual Studio is required, I'll tell you. And even I strongly recommend to install SQL Server also. Yes, SQL Server. Why SQL Server is required, software is required? Because in our session, we are going to develop front-end applications like C#.NET applications and ASP.NET web applications. Always we used to interact with the SQL Server database. So database connectivity purpose, SQL Server software is required, and the front-end purpose like C# code and ASP code. If you want to develop, then editor tool is required, that is Visual Studio software. So this is .NET Framework and Visual Studio as well as SQL Server software. Three softwares need to be installed it here. But what are the versions are available so far? As I told you that .NET was announced by Bill Gates in the year of 2000. The first version of .NET was released in the year of 2002. But so far, up to now, what versions are available in .NET actually? So .NET Framework versions as well as Visual Studio versions. Let me show you here. These are the .NET Framework and Visual Studio versions. Whatever it is available, you can see this. These are the versions of .NET Framework and Visual Studio. .NET Framework 1.0, at that time, Microsoft has given a version called Visual Studio VS. VS is an editor tool name it is. And later they come up with 1.1 Visual Studio 2003 and 2.0 Visual Studio 2005 and 3.0 not applicable, means at the time of 3.0 .NET Framework, Microsoft has not given any Visual Studio version. They were recommended to use Visual Studio 2005 itself, and 3.5 Visual Studio 2008, 4.0 VS 2010, 4.5 VS 2012, 4.6 VS 2015, 4.7 VS 2017, 4.7.1 and 2 VS 2019. This is called latest version of .NET. So we are going to use in our class also Visual Studio 2019 software and .NET Framework 4.7.2 and also SQL Server 2014 or 2016. Anyone you can use, no problem. But I strongly recommend to install this Visual Studio and .NET Framework software. So in your computer, you should maintain the Windows operating system that is called 64-bit operating system, and 2 GB above RAM is required. Hard disk space minimum 20 GB is required. C drive space is required compulsory, because Visual Studio and SQL Server softwares are heavyweight software. Each one it takes minimum 5 to 6 GB it will occupy, and while installation also for the first time it takes a lot of time to install. Even each one 30 minutes of time it will take. Once you install successfully with clear picture, so no need to worry. So you need to work with application code easily here. So it's not a big deal to install. So, but while installation, you should take care this software requirements, hardware requirements like 64-bit OS, Windows, and 2 GB minimum above RAM, and hard disk space is 20 GB is required here. You can say it. Okay. So this is .NET Framework and Visual Studio versions what we have here. Now, so using .NET, what kind of applications we can develop? So what kind of application possibility is there to develop using .NET we can develop? So different types of applications we can develop using .NET. First basic application is console application, that is called CUI mode. CUI mode means it's completely command user interface or character user interface, we can call it as. That is called CUI mode. Okay. So console application programs are just like command prompt application programs like C, C++, but a lot of things you need to learn from console application as a beginner. So everything, loops, control statements, conditional statements. Okay. So arrays concept, even object-oriented programming also I'll cover in this console application. So maximum time we'll spend in console application with C#.NET because object-oriented programming things I'll cover entire the thing in console application only. And next, Windows Forms application also we can develop using .NET Windows Forms application. It is completely GUI, graphical user interface. But these two are different. Like one is CUI, one is GUI. But even though it is separate, but these two applications are only one category of application, like standalone applications or desktop applications. So, what is the meaning of standalone or desktop application here? Standalone application or desktop application means the application where we install in which mission, there only it's going to be run around the globe through internet facility. It is not going to share the information. But if you want to save the information through internet facilities, then we can go for web applications. It's completely web applications, that is online application. It is also purely GUI, graphical user interface. So that we can do with ASP.NET here completely. Okay. Now ASP.NET, I'll show how to design websites, how to interact with other websites internally. So a completely web application development we will do in ASP.NET. Okay. But to develop ASP.NET web applications, I strongly recommend to learn C#.NET also. Why? Because only we are going to focus for a designing purpose ASP.NET technology, but behind the scenes, the logic code purpose, we use C#.NET again. Okay, that's the reason I strongly recommend to learn C# logic only. So if you know the C# logic, how to write, then you can able to build the web application development in ASP.NET. Design we can do and internal logic we can do with C#. And from this interaction from front end to back end application, we use some tools like ADV.NET. We will write C#.NET logic code and connect with ADV.NET and store the data into database. At the same time, we should bring the data from database and display into ASP.NET web page. Again, we write logic code of C# and connect it to the database, bring the data and stored into ASP.NET web page. This communication is required compulsory. So C# will play the all the ways very good role in .NET development compulsory. Those who know the strong knowledge of C#, so that is good for .NET development exactly. Okay. So these are the major applications which I am going to cover in our sessions: console application, Windows Forms application, web applications. Now you can see apart from this, there are a lot of applications we can create using .NET: Windows services, and web services. Web services will cover in ASP.NET, that is. And next, WPF, that is Windows Presentation, Presentation Foundation, we can say that. Just I want to show you what kind of applications we can develop using .NET. Okay, what are the possibilities are there? But all not required actually. According to your requirement, you should go through. WCF, that is called Windows Communication Foundation. Windows Communication Foundation. And next, MVC, Model View Control. Yes, this is I strongly recommend to learn after completion of your basic .NET course. Okay, so this is most of the people real time they're asking. This is only Model View Control, but strictly remember we will not cover this MVC architecture in our sessions. This is separate code, separate course you should take separately from our Durga software anyway. No problem. Model View Control. But without knowing ASP.NET, don't go for MVC. Okay, MVC. So model view control it is. It's not only MVC, we can say ASP.NET MVC, we can call it as. Those who know the strong knowledge of ASP.NET, they're only I strongly recommend to go for learn MVC without knowing the without knowing ASP.NET concept, no need to learn MVC here. Okay, but when it is possible to learn means after learning C Sharp and ASP.NET and SQL Server completely, so basic package with ADV.NET, so that you will get more clarity on .NET. After that, according to your company requirement and your role, you can go for any one of the applications as per their requirement. It's not a big deal here. Okay, but in this, no need to learn all those things. Don't waste your time and money. So I strongly recommend one thing is enough to learn after completion of your core .NET. So model view control is enough. Next, here, even mobile applications also we can develop using .NET, and even business applications like some small scale business application according to their requirement we can able to develop, and even gaming application also we can able to develop using .NET. These are the application area where exactly we can use .NET. So .NET is completely huge technology, we can say. So we can fulfill any kind of requirement using .NET. I can say that means once you familiar with the .NET, any kind of application development is possible. I can sell it up here. So this is application area where exactly we can use .NET. So why .NET means .NET is used to develop an application. These are the applications we can develop using .NET. And what is .NET means? .NET is a framework tool. Using that framework, we can develop .NET applications, which supports around 60 plus programming languages. In that, 9 are designed by Microsoft and remaining are designed by non-Microsoft. And our programming language is completely C Sharp .NET only in our session. So I strongly recommend to learn only one programming language. No need to learn all the languages, which is highly impossible, but which is recommend we should learn that. So most of the people in real time they recommend to learn C Sharp .NET because it's a powerful programming language. Okay, once if you're familiar with C Sharp .NET language, programming language code, that's enough to become a .NET programmer, no doubt at all. Okay, here one advantage also there to if you learn this C Sharp and ASP.NET and SQL Server ADV.NET. So after completion of this, you may become C Sharp programmer or you may become ASP.NET developer. Means your role is completely developing of code of ASP.NET techniques, and you may become SQL Server also developer also. That means completely backend developer. Means some people wants to settle in SQL Server database only. We will teach all the SQL Server syllabus. Don't think so. Whatever SQL Server concepts are required with the .NET, that only I'll cover. No, complete SQL Server syllabus I'll teach. Joins, views, stored procedure, triggers, everything I'll teach clearly. So after learning this, you will become a SQL Server developer also. You can attempt interviews only on SQL Server developer also after taking course here, because that much of depth will cover SQL Servers also, SQL Server programming also. Once you get the knowledge of SQL Server, if you want to apply a job role only SQL Server developer, you can do this because it's easy to manage the things comparatively C Sharp and ASP.NET. Those who feel some coding is lengthy in ASP and C Sharp, so if you feel very comfort in SQL Server, you can apply job on SQL Server only. You will become SQL Server developer, no matter it is. Okay. So this is just a basic introduction which I'm covering today. So just for demo purpose. Okay. So this is what I'm covering here in this session. That's enough. And tomorrow onwards, our regular session will be happen like continuation. So from where I stop, there onwards I'm going to cover. So tomorrow session we will discuss completely what is .NET components and what is platform dependent or independent. Then how Visual Studio and .NET Framework software need to be installed and making our setup, and we will enter into programming part here. Okay, so this is about today. So now you can ask me any doubts related to the sessions, and what doubt we have, you can ask me in the chat box. You can type it and I'll give the answer clearly here. Okay, from tomorrow onwards your session timing is same, 11 a.m. to 12, completely 1 hour daily session I'll take. Okay, so you can also join tomorrow's on same link, and every day recording video I'll send to your Gmail account. Okay, Google Drive. So do you have any questions? You can ask me now. Feel free to ask anything. Just small introduction and demo purpose. I have given this information, what kind of applications we can develop using